I now call this special session of Mayor and City Council meeting, 6 p.m. Wednesday, July 13th. Will you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Do we have any call to the public?
No, we don't.
You don't? Okay. I'm going to deviate. Instead of going to executive session, we'll go to the continuation of 6/29 and 7/11/2016 public hearing, final budget. Do we have any comments from the public on the final budget? Anybody who would like to come to the podium? Okay, seeing none, we'll continue and go to number, actually 6 on the discussion of items. And we have we'll go to number 2, and it's discussion and possible action to defund and eliminate the position of deputy city manager and return funds to contingency fund. And I placed that and the other items for discussion and possible action on the agenda to save money to the city. So notice that we've been kind of in dire straits a little, peso devaluation, and one of the things that we do need to do is save money. So we have a couple of positions that actually, you know, we can save money at, and one of them, considering the size of our community, the city manager can do the work of it for what 2 are doing right now. And so we're trying to reduce the money in that area. And so right now, if I have, we'll open it, I guess, do we have an order to approve? Motion second. Motion to approve?
Mayor, excuse me, I move we table that, please.
Well, the thing is that we're putting it out to the vote. If we table it, we're gonna have trouble with our, again, with our budget, and it's gonna force the whole thing to go into August. So it's not a very good idea to table it. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I can interrupt, but a motion to table does have priority over the consideration of the substance of the motion. So if there's a second to the motion to table, we have to have a vote on that.
Okay, well, let's go ahead okay. Do we have a second on Mr. Councilman Cortez? Okay, so we have a motion to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, all those against tabling signify by saying nay. Nay?
Nay.
So we have 4-3 so we're gonna go ahead with the motion. And now we have the motion to go ahead and approve defunding these positions, or this position. So we have,
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
okay.
Okay. Mr. Rivera, do you need an assistant or not?
Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Lopez, the span of control under any individual as far as supervision, in study after study, you'll find that the maximum number you should have is 7, 5 to 7 being about the max depending on the size of your organization. The size of this city, I can tell you, I could probably do it for a while, but the sheer number of departments answering to one individual on a daily basis, at some point it would become overwhelming. And it doesn't matter whether it's me or anybody else.
So, thank you. Now, again, do I have a motion to approve the defunding and eliminate the position of deputy city manager and return the funds to the cities. Do I have
A motion?
well, do I have
I believe you, did
We
you make a
did.
motion?
they make a motion, right?
We did.
Okay,
Like
so
a
we have
second.
a first and second? Okay.
And a second.
All right, I got the
For the
question,
vote.
so I was, I guess, in discussion.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so there's, any more discussion? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Massey, what is our exposure on this? Can you advise us as to if we have any exposure or risk?
Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I haven't done extensive research on this just due to the shortness of time that it has been on the agenda. But I would prefer not to give legal advice to the public. If there's a majority that desires to receive legal advice, I'd rather have that occur in executive session. And if we do go into executive session, it would be only for the purpose of receiving legal advice. It would not be for the purpose of any substantive discussion on this topic.
I have another question, Mayor.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're trying to save money, but then you only took into consideration that particular position?
No, we have another.
No, yeah, I saw that you have two positions.
Right.
So, of the many positions that we have, those two in particular, I've heard for years, maybe 3 years, that Mr. Parado wanted to get rid of him. And now, here we come to the point that we want to save money?
Right, we're eliminating the position, and that's two positions. You know, right now, the city, I see that we're paying close to $175,000 for a city manager. And so we're paying a little over, with benefits all over $100,000 for that position. So the thing is that we always start at the bottom when we need to make cuts. This time, their position, those two positions, are really something that the city manager should be able to do. There's other communities our size that only have a city manager. And for that amount of money, there shouldn't be any reason we couldn't do it. There's been times when our previous manager was gone for months at a time, and sometimes the position of deputy city manager would be gone, and things would still carry on. And so I think we don't want to build a bureaucracy where we're getting too many employees up on the upper echelon, and down, you know, and we got to downsize them. We got to, you know, and I think these two areas are the ones that I felt are the ones that we can work without at this time. So I put it in the agenda, and we'd be saving this amount of money. And so, you know, I feel we need to eliminate these positions at this time. So, you know, that's basically where I'm at. So, you know, yes, Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Carlos, Mayor, you can correct me if I'm not understanding you. You're looking at this strictly eliminating the positions and returning the funding back into basically the general fund. So organizationally, Carlos, the actual individuals, could they be placed somewhere within the organization to still add value?
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Vice Mayor, yes, I think the existing budget, the way it is, without reducing the total, and even if we did, since the money is budgeted in contingency, there would be the funds to move people within the organization.
So there would be an opportunity to place both these individuals somewhere else within the organization.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just a clarification, we're talking about a position, is that correct? We're not talking about an individual, as it was assumed. We're talking about the position, not a person.
That's correct. It's very clearly here on the agenda. It's a position. Yes,
Mayor, if I may?
Councilman Diaz.
Why was this brought up yesterday, 5:45, 24 hours before the, we've had months to work on cutting costs and shrinking what we spend and all that. Why at the last minute? This could have been done earlier in the budget, and if positions are to be cut, people can adjust accordingly or look for another job or whatever, wherever it may be. But why at the very last minute? It's not being fair to the people in those positions that are being cut. It's not being fair to their families. And it just, you know, like the OPEB, we've been working on that for 2.5 years, 3 years, something like that. And it keeps on table. Now, why all of a sudden are these positions so important to cut at this time?
That's a good question, but let me answer it so you clarify. It's exactly because we have problems with that. We have promises made to these people, and there's other projects that we need, and we need to start cutting down. And I realize that, you know, we got to start cutting down some of these areas, and it's unfair for the lower echelon later if it comes to their cuts, that it's always a higher echelon that's positions that really, right now, other people can do and eliminate that position. So I don't feel good with just being paid out and making a bureaucracy grow when there's a lot more families suffering than just two. So I decided to put it, you know, I thought I was weighing it out. It's not an easy decision, you know, but at the same time, I realized that, yes, if they can still be moved around and utilized, but without those positions, eventually, you know, that they'll still be of service and they'll be saving, we'll be saving money. So that's, you know, that's basically it. You know, I think we can go on and on talking about this, but I'm just putting out here. My position is we need to eliminate this position, and I'll call it to a vote.
You did already. No, yeah, but Mr. Mayor, just one more comment to answer the councilman's question. I think that one of the reasons that was brought up is simply because of the continuation of that public hearing for the budget. So this has to do with the budget. It has to do with the budget.
But like I said before, we've been working on the budget for months. Why not, you know, do it
Well, some
during the
things,
whole process? Why at the
some
last
things
minute?
come up at the end, whatever they might be. I mean, as you go through the budget, and we've had how many meetings in the budget? At least over 4 or 5 or more, and each one of them, there was polishing to be done. So there's not a set time for an item. Items can come up at the moment.
But in all fairness to the people that are being affected by it, it should have been done.
I understand,
before.
Councilman. I'm just saying if it was brought up as an item, my view is that it has to do with the budget.
Well, of course it has to do with the budget. I'm not discussing that it does or it doesn't. It does. It does have to do with the budget, but, you know, I already said what I was gonna say.
Okay,
so.
thank you very much for all your input, and we'll go ahead and call it to a vote. We'll have a roll call vote, and we'll start here with the mayor. And, well, I vote to approve this order, so I vote yes.
Nay.
Yes.
Aye.
No. No.
Okay, it's 4-3, so I guess this item is approved and carried. We'll go to number 1, discussion and possible action to defund and eliminate position of management analyst and economic development specialist and return funds to the contingency. again, pretty much the same thing, just along those lines, so, do I have a motion to approve? This
So
item,
moved.
number one? Okay,
Thank you.
okay, so, is there any discussion? Yes?
Again, to me, he's one of the persons that really is doing a good job. He's a very, very prepared person. He's the right person for what he's doing, and we're eliminating it. So, I don't know. The good people are leaving, and then who's staying? Whoever you want, or whoever Mr. Parada wants? Because I wasn't even aware of this till yesterday. Well, yeah, yesterday afternoon. So, if you ask the other council, nobody knew but you and him, so that's fine, huh? So you took the decision of taking them out.
Well, we're just putting it here
Yeah.
to a vote on the council. And again, you know, that's a position that really gained quite a bit of money for the work that's being done. Yes.
Ma'am, you're saying that you're spending too much on that position? Are you aware that that position with that person on that position may be responsible for most, if not all, the new businesses coming into Nogales?
I think that you're probably misinformed of that. We've had our Chamber of Commerce work very hard.
Oh, wow.
And yes, they're working hard and they've got it in writing, everything they do. And we have we have them as good representatives of the city. Port Authority is also very active in our city. So we are actually just throwing money out at that position when we are already getting the people that we don't have to invest so much in that are doing the work. So that's the reason that I also placed that position.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you seen this?
Yes, and you know who came up with that?
Mr.
No,
White.
it was the chamber, and then he copied it, but that's all right.
I don't think so.
Maybe
Anyway,
you're misinformed here.
well, okay, we can go, go into this and on, but again, I'm placing, we have a first and a second, we can go on and talking, I'm gonna call it to a vote, we'll do the same thing.
I just have one more comment.
George?
Okay, on the contract with the Chamber of Commerce, it says that the chamber will work with the city of Nogales, hand in hand with who are you gonna appoint to take care of handling that business with the chamber, with somebody from the city. It specifies on the contract with the chamber.
Definitely, yes. And it doesn't say,
It doesn't say
who.
who, it doesn't say what or who or nothing, but it says somebody from the city will work hand in hand with the Chamber of Commerce.
That's right.
And the person right now that's doing that is Mr. White, and he's doing a really, really good job. He's been very good for Nogales, and he's been instrumental in doing a lot of things for the city. He just bought a home here in Puerto Rico. His family is here, and in all fairness, that decision is not. It's not breaking the back of the city of the budget.
Right. Okay, Vice Mayor, did you have something to say?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This one I'm struggling with because economic development is I think it's a critical component for the city. And I'd like to ask city manager what his recommendation on how we should address this position or an economic development program.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, if the expectation is that I'm gonna be doing everything, supervising all the departments, there's no way that I can handle that on my own. So it would require someone to fill that slot.
Well, to answer you, the city manager and vice mayor, I've been working very close with the chamber and with the people across the border, with my counterpart, Demo Galindo, and we're working on projects that the chamber is handling right now. So it's not so, and Aaron White hasn't been in the picture at all. So, I'm here doing work, whatever I need to do for $50 a month, and I don't mind, because I'm doing it for our community, for our future. So, when I got elected here and placed here by the people, one of the promises that I told them was that we weren't gonna build a bureaucracy, we were gonna be spending, throwing their tax dollars away. So that's the reason I'm putting it here, and I want to be heard out, and I'm gonna, and I'm gonna continue, and I think we can discuss it all night, but I'll call it to a vote. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
With this situation, I would rather that the city manager come back to us with the economic development program and the impact this position may or may not have with such a program. With that being said, I would like to table this item until we have a program that's expressed by the city manager on how we could proceed, and then we can make a decision on whether or not that position is part of the program or not. But I guess I'm hesitant to eliminate a position that we may need now or in the future.
In the past, we had an economic development department. We had a department head and 2 employees. And the former mayor did away with it, the whole department. And that was most important.
Who was on the council back then?
There's one president here, and there was Darino, and I don't know who else.
But, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but did I hear the Vice Mayor make a motion to table?
Second.
Yes, that was a motion.
Okay, and then a second, so that motion to table then takes precedence over the discussion of
But we're
the
still,
item itself.
we're still discussing.
But the general rules of procedure is the motion to table takes precedence over the discussion of an item, the substance of an item.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor of tabling the item, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
How many were those? One, two? Okay. So we're gonna table the item, motion carried, table.
And then, Mr. Mayor, if I can have clarification on the one motion that did pass, that's eliminating the position. As I read the personnel manual, all employees are entitled to 15-day notice. So I guess I'm asking for a clarification, maybe by another motion. Do you want that to be effective immediately, or do we allow us to go through the normal 15-day notice process? He will get paid for the 15 days either way. I think that's the entitlement is there under the personnel manual, but I think we need clarification from the council on whether that would be in the form of a severance or in the form of a normal notice.
Well, if it's within the, I would say immediately if there's no conflict.
Just- So, and I think the way that the motion was worded, it would be effective immediately, but just be aware then that there will be 15-day severance that is due under the personnel manual provision 12.05.
Mayor,
Yes.
is there no due process?
There is some due process. Again, if there was a motion to go into executive session for legal advice, I could maybe provide a little bit more, but there are remedies available to the employee, and he could pursue them.
Within that range.
Whatever he chooses to do, but as the motion now stands, it would be effective immediately, but there would be 15-day severance. And we can discuss that further when it comes to a vote on the actual budget, because with reducing that position from the budget, we will actually not have a final number for the budget to be adopted today. It will be the tentative budget number, less taking out.
No. Let me clarify, Mr. Mayor and Council, the budget will not be changed because the money will still remain within the contingency fund, and that is part of the budget.
And does it stay there, it goes into contingency?
Yes, it goes to the contingency.
Well,
Just for clarification too, Mike, I'd asked the question of the city manager, if if that individual could actually be moved within the organization. And the response I got, correct if I'm wrong, Carlos, was yes.
Yes, anyone can be moved within the organization.
But I guess what I'm referring to is the administration department budget. We don't have a final number then on that because the employee will also be entitled to payment for accruals, things of that nature. So, and obviously for the amount of the budget year that has already passed, we're 13 days into the budget year.
And Mr. Mayor and Council, as past practice, when any employee leaves, typically departments do not have the full amount budgeted for payoff of vacation and sick leave, so that typically comes from another fund. And Sherry's here, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but typically contingency or some other fund available.
No, it actually just comes out of the department's salary budget. And it ends up being covered at the end of the year because there are other departments that are underspent on.
So sometimes departments do not have the money and it does come from other areas, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so we tabled that motion, table, so we're going to the table. And now we're going to, back to executive session. And that would be number 4. But do I have a motion to go into executive session? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. At this time, in executive session, it will be the council, and we need to call Mr. Rivera in. We'll call him in.
Right. We'll start out first as council and city attorney.
And I call this meeting back to order. We're going to resume at number 7, orders. Consideration and possible action of order 2016-06-034. An order of the State Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, approving an employment services agreement with Carlos Rivera. At this time, we don't have an agreement, so we're going to continue to orders number 2. And it's consideration and possible action of order 2016-06-031. An order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, amending the City of Nogales Personnel Manual, Chapter 11, regarding eligibility, termination, and payment of premiums in connection with retiree city insurance and health benefits. I guess our city manager had we're not quite there yet, so I guess that was the last bit of information you gave me.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I received the data just today, a little before 5 o'clock, and it's incomplete. I'm piecing it together, but there is one portion that is critical to determine costs as it relates to pricing through the state retirement system health insurance plan. So once I'm able to get that final data, I will be able to give you a better number and more information, but it looks like we may be able to incur significant savings, but I can't give you that number today, so I'd ask that you table it.
Okay.
Until I get the final
So
answer.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This order number 2 is tabled. We'll go to number 3, consideration and possible action of order 2016-06-033. An order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, adopting the official final budget for year 2016, 2016, and 2017 as presented. I so move. Thank you. I think there's only, yes, we have that approval and a second. We'll go into a slight discussion. I just want to make sure that what we did today doesn't affect the
Right.
budget at all.
No, it does affect the budget, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, because the administrative department budget was changed to reflect the action. I think the charter and state law does require that each department itself have a budget number. The overall budget, of course, does not change, and we don't have the information available tonight. So what I would suggest is that the final budget can be approved as presented, on the understanding that the finance director will supply the final number of the administrative department. And that would be the current number less some days that have been worked, some days that are due as a 15-day severance, and then whatever payout for the accruals.
So your recommendation would be?
Would be to go ahead and adopt it as presented, on the understanding that there is one department's budget that needs to be, but because I believe that can be ascertained, directly based on all the information, it's not going to be something that is changeable, then the budget is susceptible of being adopted tonight.
Okay. Any more discussion on the matter? Seeing none, then we'll go ahead, and all those in favor of approving the budget, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, budget approved. Now we'll go to the final item, and that's number one on line 8, discussion and possible action to rename War Memorial Park to Jim Concanon War Memorial Park. Do I have motion to approve?
Discussion.
Second? Any discussion? Yes?
Okay, I'm just getting a couple of texts here, and I'll just read it. I just have a phone number that they sent them to me. The general consensus of the veterans of the post canteen is to leave the name War Memorial alone. Why not the field at the old high school? And then I have another one here. It says, Joe, I just heard that everyone on the council is about to do renaming the park. Don't let that happen. War Memorial Stadium. Leave it like that. It's right here. So they said, why don't you name the Pearson Field, James Concanon Field, instead of renaming the War Memorial Park? So I just, the constituents are sending their messages, so I'm just passing it out.
I'll leave it up to the discussion of this. The reason I brought it up is that man is a Second World War veteran, spent most of his entire adult life in Nogales, and brought a lot of state championships to our church in Nogales. And he was one of the persons that used that War Memorial Park to be used by the Nogales Apaches at that time. And he put up a good memorial for nobody has ever remembering for anything around the school boards and so forth. So I'd like to kick it around, let's get a more consensus on this, see how it works out with the rest of them. If we get any more calls on it. So I'd like to leave it alone for a while. And if by chance, if we don't get name it Jim Concanon, maybe with the school board can name the football field with the Jim Concanon Apache football stadium.
Okay, so
Maybe they could do it at the
do
school.
we want to go ahead and table this, or?
Well, there's a motion and a second, with the
We need to-
parties who moved and seconded,
Well, I guess we would.
withdraw it, then you can, or. you wanna-
Whoever made it can withdraw the motion.
I withdraw.
You made the motion? Okay.
Why don't we keep War Memorial Stadium and name James Concanon Baseball Field?
That's what he was great at.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
Is there a motion?
Why not?
Okay, I'll second your motion.
But what baseball field?
No, yeah, we didn't clarify in the baseball field, what baseball field?
Yeah, what baseball?
At
field?
War Memorial Stadium.
Well, then we'd be taking off the War Memorial Stadium.
No, it'd be War Memorial Stadium, and then it would be James Concanon Baseball Field.
I'd like to I'd like to make a motion to table it, to
But he
contact some
He already made
veterans.
the motion.
Well, but again, tabling, if there's a second, would be precedent, would have precedent.
And, you know, just to give it a little bit more, throw it out there at the community.
Yep.
And then we can get more consensus on it, and that way we're not gonna get anybody mad
Yeah,
at us.
we don't wanna get the veterans.
I withdraw.
Mr.
I did have some real good calls on my phone too, thinking it was a great idea to do that. Nobody has ever paid attention to a person's sensitive companions. But I had a lot of good calls. A lot of ball players.
But were
They're all veterans.
Were they from the veterans?
Vote for
Yeah, they're
that?
veterans, yeah. They all play with them.
All right, so, where are we at now with so many motions?
This motion to
Yes,
table.
Table.
Councilman.
Why don't we just form a committee and publicize it? Have a committee get together, either for or against, and a site.
Sure.
Once they have consensus, they give it the blessing, then it comes before the council, then we don't have to be making decisions.
Yeah, there's no rush
At this
on this.
point, there's no
That's
rush
a
on
good
it.
idea.
Okay. So what was the last motion?
Well, it was a motion to table, but it sounds like there's a
You're gonna
consensus.
send a committee,
Okay.
well,
So
he can withdraw his motion and then make a motion to get
I
a,
withdraw.
Well,
to get
yeah,
a
but-
committee.
And, okay, and now we have, you withdrew your motion, so now we're open for another motion. And your motion, which is a motion?
You had a motion to table,
You're gonna table it.
but I didn't hear a second on it.
Second.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so then that needs to be voted on.
Right. Okay, so all those in favor to table that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. That, now, do we want to do anything else with it right now?
Form a committee.
Just, okay, so we're gonna leave it tabled till we get something going and then we can bring it back to the council.
Yes,
Thank-
sir.
Thank you very much. Saying all that, we come to the end of this agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.